So Nintendo just had their Nintendo Direct talking about the Switch 2, the specs, and a few games coming out for it. And they had some cool things like the new Joy-Cons with like the mouse feature. They had a few new games they were announcing, like the new Donkey Kong game that looks like Mario Odyssey almost. Silk Song, which no one ever thought was going to come out. And the new Mario Kart, that looks incredible. They have a free roam option. There's a lot of cool things about it, as well as like a few new features with the Switch 2 that seem kind of nice. But I'm not really here to talk about the good things about the Nintendo Switch 2 because there were a lot of things that they announced today that I was not a big fan of. Starting off with the first thing that didn't really sit well with me was Nintendo's new game chat, which is what everyone was speculating what the C button was going to be on the new Joy-Cons. So essentially what that is just a worse version of Discord that you have to pay for. First of all, it comes with a separate camera for the Nintendo Switch, almost like the Kinect, you know, back in like the 2010s, and you have to pay for it. It doesn't come with the Switch, it's an accessory that you have to pay for some reason. Along with this camera, you will get the C button, which pops up a menu that looks a lot like Discord, and you could share your screen, which you could do in Discord, and talk to your friends, which you can do on Discord. Nintendo has this habit of being late to the game, meaning their console's always like a few years behind the most recent console for like the PlayStation or Xbox. Like the Wii, when it first came out, was underpowered but just had a cool gimmick of motion controls. Meanwhile, the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 already came out with better graphics and better games. Anyways, back to the game chat. It's kind of laggy, not great. They even showed it in the feature, which I honestly, I really do respect. I'm glad that they were transparent enough with us to show us that it's not the greatest working thing. So they showed the video's a little choppy, they're sharing the game, it looks a little whatever. Good for Nintendo for that. But you have to pay for the online membership, which already is really bad and does not connect well online, as many people know. So essentially, you're paying for a shittier version of Discord. That's it. And sure, it's a little cool that like the camera can like cut out your background and that the microphone also cuts out background noise. But this has been a thing for Discord for many years, and it's not really anything that, you know, jaw-dropping. And again, I'm not really a fan that you have to pay for Nintendo Switch Online, which is not really worth it, to then also get a worse experience of Discord. The second thing that really caught my eye and upset me was the game upgrades. Now, I say upgrades like this because if you bought a Nintendo Switch game, meaning like the first generation, something like Mario & Luigi, you'll notice that it doesn't really run too well on the system. The frames get a little choppy, the animations are a little rough looking, and like overall the resolution could be a lot better. So now what these upgrades do is, even though you already paid probably $70 for this game, you now have to go out of your way and find something that looks like the little membership card that you'd find in like Target for like the Nintendo Switch Online. Pay for that, and now you're paying even more money to have that game that you already paid for look better. That's it. That's all it does. It ups the resolution, it ups the frame rate. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's cool and all, but why do we have to pay for that? That doesn't seem fair at all. We already paid $70, which I still think is kind of ridiculous for a game, and now we have to pay more for something that it should have already done originally and upped the graphics. It's not my fault that you released the game a few months before the new Switch came out. Why do I get punished for that as the consumer? Speaking of being punished as the consumer, Nintendo also had a huge issue with their Joy-Cons with the first generation of the Switch. With the first generation Switch, a lot of the issues that people had with the Joy-Cons was that they would break, meaning the rails that they would slide onto would snap, which happened to me, or you would have the most well-known thing, the Joy-Con drift. Now, if this happened, you could send it to Nintendo and wait months to get them back and have it be fixed, just to have it break again in a few more months. Or you could go out of your way and buy new Joy-Cons, which were $80. $80 for a hunk of plastic that would break on you. So now, with the new Switch coming out, my question is, will the old Joy-Cons still work with the new ones? I don't expect them to slide in or connect to the console, but I mean, if I have my friends over and we're playing like a 4-player game, can they use 2 of the new ones and 2 of the old ones? I have no idea. They didn't say anything about that on the new Direct. So assuming Nintendo wants more money, they're going to make it so the old Joy-Cons probably won't work. I don't know, I'm just assuming. They won't work with the new one, and then you'll have to keep buying a newer version of a Joy-Con, which now may be $100. Who knows? It's just kind of upsetting because they never really fixed the first issue with the Joy-Cons, and now they have a new one. Didn't mention anything about the old ones being compatible with the new Switch, and it's just several dollars down the drain again. And now my last really big gripe is the Nintendo Today app, actually, which isn't technically part of the Switch, but is at the same time. What I mean by that is that for the new Zelda game, right, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, both of them have the upgrades available. This is the upgrade thing I was talking about earlier, where even if you own the game, you have to pay for the upgrade for it to run better with better frames and better resolution on the Switch too. On top of that, their selling point was that there's new features, and that new feature is in the Nintendo Today app, where you just get garbage. It tells you where close by shrines are and cool little things about the game that you didn't know, and it's like, what's the point of that? All I get from that is that they're desperate for you to download their app, which is useless, and then they also want more money. So now you're paying for something that, one, no one really cares to use the app, and I'm sure no one's going to use it, and two, again, I've already said this, the upgrades should have been free. You shouldn't have to pay another, God only knows how much, because we don't know how much it costs, for a $70 game. A $70 game. That came out maybe like a year or two ago. Why doesn't it just automatically update? I really don't understand it, and it kind of pisses. So to sum up my rant of this video, there's a camera that you could buy, which is kind of useless and not really worth it. There's a worse version of Discord that you also have to pay for. Any games that you had for the Switch 1 that you want to run better on the Switch 2, you have to pay for that as well, even though the games were $70. And they're really trying to push their new Nintendo Today app that doesn't really seem worth it. All I got from this, even though there's some cool features, yes, the Joy-Cons are kind of cool, the newer ones with magnets. I like magnets. I don't know if you do, but I like magnets. I like that there's a little mouse feature. That's kind of cool. Some of the games look very promising, like Mario Kart and Donkey Kong. But is it really worth $449.99 when the Switch 1 was $300? The Joy-Cons got upgraded, the screen got upgraded. That's about it. It should maybe be $350. I don't think it's even worth $400. So to have it be $450 for this Switch, I'm going to be honest, I don't think I'm going to buy it. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Nintendo fan. I'm sure you could just look at me and tell. I just remember Nintendo back in the day having the best stuff and the most quality consumer experience. Everything was so much fun and enjoyable. Now it just seems like, hey, we did the bare minimum, give us more money. Okay, my last really big gripe, it's not that important, but it's something that bothered me for so long, is on their Nintendo Directs, I absolutely hate the narrators. I hate, they're like, oh, look at this brand new game, oh. I hate it so much. I miss the days of like, when the commercials were like, the all-new incredible game. Like, look at this old commercial for the SNES.
Come, there's only one place to come. The games of Super Nintendo. No one else creates these kinds of games. Now you're playing with power. Superpower.
You're playing with power. That's awesome. There was like a lightning strike. That was the coolest thing. Now it's just like a, look at this. They're talking on the couch and having fun with Discord that you have to pay for. Anyways, I'm sorry about ranting so much. I just wanted to share my thoughts with you guys. Let me know if you agree or disagree. I'll see you all very soon in a new video next week. And until then, have a lovely rest of your day. Bye-bye.